Hi, I'm Zach,
Hey, and I am Andy.
and we're going to talk about Sonic in relevant stuff. We've been talking for a while about doing something like we just talk about a game, like casually, like we always do, and we decided we want to do our first try on Sonic. So, I guess we're going to talk about Sonic's impact on us and just how much we like the game. So, what's Sonic's impact on you?
Well, it's actually pretty good that it's the first game that we do, because it was, in fact, the very first Sega Genesis game I ever played. I'd played Mario, and I think I'd played Zelda, and maybe a couple of other things at a cousin's place, but I hadn't owned any video games, and I was actually at another cousin's place, and they had Sonic the Hedgehog and Jeopardy! And I played Sonic, and I immediately knew, wow, this is awesome. I gotta get in on this. I remember seeing one of the Archie comics at Fruth's Pharmacy shortly thereafter, and I bought it. And then before long, I owned Sonic 2, and blah, blah, blah. But Sonic 1 was really what started my path down all this video game stuff I've done forever. So Sonic 1 is fantastic, and it really gave me a start on all this.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same deal for me. Like before that, I played in television games. Like Burger Time's the only one I remember. But one Christmas, I got that Genesis bundle with Sonic in it, and after I played that, I was like, "Holy crap, this stuff is awesome! I have to get more of it." And after that, I think the next game I played was either X-Men or Toe Jam and Earl. It all went downhill from there. Originally, Sega's mascot wasn't Sonic. It was a guy called Alex Kidd. And they held a contest internally to try to come up with a new mascot and an idea for a big game that was going to propel them further in the market. And originally, Sonic was supposed to be like a rabbit or something, and he had like a human girlfriend named Madonna, and he played in a band or something.
Of course he did. Everyone. It was the late 80s, early 90s. If you weren't in a band, you were pretty much nobody.
I guess that's what the guy thought that designed all the characters. And a lot of that stuff got thrown out in the end, and he got turned into a hedgehog, which was actually one of the other drawings he had that got rejected.
Ha! You know, I think it's telling the way Sonic turned out. He was supposed to be this guy with an attitude, and it's, you know, if you let him idle too long, he gets an attitude with you, and he's a cool guy, and he's super fast, and you know, he was really going to be in a band and stuff. And then one of the other entries in the same contest was supposed to be like Toe Jam and Earl, and they also they wear sunglasses and sometimes loose clothing, I think, and they have like that funk kind of hip hop thing going on with them. In the late 80s and early 90s, this stuff was king. It was all about like, oh, the kids like cool stuff with attitudes, and they're listening to their Twisted Sister and their Nirvana, and we gotta catch up with all that.
Gotta feel the noise. Wait, that's quite right.
Well, that too.
Yeah, I remember that Toe Jam and Earl got entered from the American side, and initially they got rejected because the guys in Japan said they were too American. And
Too American.
Wanted a broader appeal.
Which is kind of weird looking at the turn Sonic himself took in the early 2000s, but that's not for this, I guess.
You know, you ever think when you look at Sonic that he looks vaguely like Mickey Mouse?
Sorta. He's got like a real prevalent face, like his head is comparably big to the rest of his body, and he has like the big eyes and stuff, I guess. Like
whenever I look at the old drawings of him and then compare them to like the classic Mickey, not the black and white one, like the Steamboat Willie one, the one that came after that when they started doing color stuff.
The one that would have been prevalent when Sonic was designed, I guess.
I guess so, yeah. But I always thought they looked really similar, and I guess that was part of the broad appeal, maybe.
Yeah, he looks a lot more like Mickey Mouse than he does Mario, that's for sure, at least.
Yeah. Anyways, after they created Sonic, and they started selling the game a whole lot, eventually a guy over in Sega of America named Tom Kalinske had a crazy idea to package the game in with a Genesis bundle, and then the guys in Japan were like, "No, that's crazy, you're giving our game away." And he's like, "Just trust me." And originally the game that was packed in with the Genesis was Altered Beast, and
which is by no means a bad game, but
no, it's all right.
I don't know if it would have the broad appeal that a platforming game like Sonic did. I always wondered why they hadn't made an Alex Kidd game and put that in there.
I know they had one on Genesis, but I don't remember when it came out.
Well, that's what I mean. Is it seems like they would have made one specifically to try to push this new hardware that they had, but I don't know, it was a different time, I guess.
I guess so. Point being, there, Kalinski's idea paid off, and they moved Genesis as like crazy. Genocide. Yep.
Someone was finally starting to challenge Nintendo in a real way.
You know, playing this game again, one thing I thought about that I didn't really before was just how smooth the game is, like frame rate wise. Anymore people just like to complain and talk about, oh, the frame rate's not 60, it's trash, I don't care. But I'm not sure how many frames this game actually plays at, but I feel like it's closer to 60. It's over 30. It's got to be.
I'm sure there's technical information about it somewhere, but I think the point is whatever it's running at, it looks great. The game looks really good.
Yep, very smooth, like all the other Sonic games on Genesis are, except for, I guess, Spinball.
And they really have to be. They're a game about like speed. I mean, sure, there's some levels where Sonic can really cut loose, and you see a lot of stuff really fly by. There's just as many levels, though, where I really feel like they make you take more of a deliberate approach, and you lose that speed. The game still looks pretty, though.
Yeah, that's something I found a lot of people saying about the older Sonic games nowadays, is like, it's just fast. You just go really fast, and you blow through levels. And
wrong.
It's not like Mario, but this game's a lot more like Mario with the platforming than the other ones are later. I feel like, because there's a lot of the other stages where you have to slow down a lot and be careful, like Spring Yard Zone and Labyrinth Zone. You could die really easily in Labyrinth Zone.
When I played Scrap Brain Zone, I didn't cut loose once. Like the whole time, I was just, pins and needles, worried about getting shocked or burned or cut open by a saw blade or whatever. Like if you run through the level, you're gonna die. You just are.
Especially that first one. You could just run off into a pit and die immediately.
Yeah, they just put pits in your way. Well, thanks, guys.
Here's a question. Do you think that Green Hill Zone may be the best first level in a video game ever?
I don't think it's the best, but I think it is. It's worth talking about being a good one. You can't just run into a pit to start. That's a plus. There's rings right there at the beginning, and they're shiny and spinning. And if you've ever played, even if you haven't played a video game, I feel like it's pretty obvious that whatever that is, I want that. That's a thing I want. And then what's the first thing you see? It's one of the little moto bug guys, right?
Yeah, the ladybug thing with wheels.
Yeah, it's not really too intimidating. It's not going to run up and like slash you open or anything. It's just putting around up there on that upper platform. And if you want, you can go up there and jump on it, or you can pass it up or whatever.
Then you see the Buzzbot.
Yeah.
Which shoots you.
Yes.
You let it.
Yeah, I think when people play the game for the first time, they usually get hit there, and then they lose their rings, and then they know, oh, okay, well, I need these rings.
If that doesn't get them, then there's the piranhas over the edge.
I can't remember what they're called. It's like motobugs, buzz bombers, something.
Piranhas, robot piranhas.
Yeah, sure. And at this point, if for some reason you still haven't jumped, you're going to have to jump, because now there's rings above and piranha below.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's up there. Like, you could talk about Green Hill Zone being like one of the best first levels, because you learn everything really quick, and you have a lot of free range to move around and experiment without dying. Like, I've died in Green Hill Zone before, but it's usually like when I'm flying through and I accidentally hit a pit or something.
Yeah, you get overly confident.
Yeah. So you can even die in the first level.
At least the first third of it is just a straight shot to kind of get you to figure out what's going on. But then it does have a branching path, which is something I really like about Sonic. It seems like at the time, I don't know for sure, but it seems like it would have been more difficult for them to make games. So there were a lot of platforming games that were a straight shot. But in Sonic 1, most, if not all, the levels have a branching path at some point. You can go up or down. And if you've got skill or knowledge, you go up. But sometimes you fall and you end up going down. But it all comes back to the same point. And I always really like that. It shows more detail in the level. You can play a level twice and see some new stuff each time.
Yeah, that's true. That's something that stuck with all the Genesis era games. When in doubt, always go up.
Yeah. That way if you fall, you got something below you hope.
Yeah. Talking about stages, I guess we could do favorite stages. I don't want to just do one. I wanted to do two, like your favorite and a follow-up.
Oh, well, I can tell you my favorite. It's Starlight Zone. The level's fun. It has the best music in the game, in my opinion. I don't know. I just like Starlight Zone. I feel like it was always just out of, like, when I was really little, you had to get through Labyrinth Zone to get there. Labyrinth Zone is one of my least favorite parts about the game. So Starlight Zone was like, it was like the reward. It's like, oh, okay, fine, I got out of this stupid level. Now I can play the one I really like. And it's you know, it's cool. It's at night. It's like a city. So it's my favorite.
What's the runner-up?
What is my runner-up? Probably Spring Yard Zone.
Cope. I guess mine are the same, actually, except I think I'll put Spring Yard first.
Oh, really?
Switching. Yeah, I don't know why. I just always really liked that stage. I think it was the music and the design of it. It just looked like I was in some really cool city, and the music reflected that.
It has a bunch of rad computer stuff in the background.
Yep.
So, I wrote it all down. There's on, up, and then CPU twice for some reason. And also Cope, of course.
Cope. So, what's the deal with Cope? I don't understand.
Well, this isn't absolute, but I mean, we discussed it obviously before, and we weren't really sure. But I have an educated guess, but it could be wrong. All the stuff in the background is kind of computer stuff. It has on. I thought it had off. I can't find it now. And then there's like CPU, like several times. So it seems like computer-y stuff.
Yeah.
Well, a computer term could be copy, maybe. And copy, if you were trying to write it in Japanese with katakana, would be ko and pei. So maybe someone was trying to write it in Romanji, which is just like the Roman alphabet, ABC, etc. They were trying to write it. They changed K to C, but they didn't change E to Y. So it's supposed to be read ko pei, like it's copy, like it's a weird Japanese pronunciation of copy. But the way they wrote it, we look at it and say, well, that says cope, because that's an actual word, and copay isn't. So why does that say cope? What is Sonic telling me to cope with? Is Sonic like a lot deeper than I think it is? And then you can stand there and look at it and think about it forever. And I mean, I've been thinking about it for a really long time, and it's taken all these years, and I only just now have a theory that I think might be accurate. I could still be completely wrong. That could make no sense at all. But the game was made in Japan, so that's my best guess.
That sounds like the most plausible explanation, really. It's about coping with,
the loss of his friends. They're all robots now.
It's set in a city, and it's about coping with urban life.
Urban life.
That's what this is about.
I think there's a few songs about that, too.
So, okay, speaking of songs, how about favorite tracks? Is it going to be the same?
Starlight Zone, and then... man... I don't know if it counts, but the song that plays over the credits, it's like a reprise of all the individual tracks. I like it a lot. Like, I have it on my computer, and I actually listened to it a couple times when I was thinking about stuff to come up for this. But there's a couple really cool transitions. Like, I can't remember which two songs it's in between, but there's like a little drum breakdown and stuff. It doesn't happen in the game, so they put all that extra care into it, and that was really cool. I also really like the music in Marble Zone.
Yeah. I like Marble Zone a lot too. What's funny is it's going to be the same as my favorite stages, except switch them again. Like, I like the Starlight Zone track a lot.
It's the best. It's my favorite.
Then Spring Yard's really awesome too. But really, I like all the music in the game. There's nothing I don't like in it, sound-wise.